I've listened through the EP a few times. It opens up on just a banger, obviously, and it closes on a bit. It's just it's a nice. It's everything's tied together in a nice little bow, and I think the EP is really good at displaying kind of a good range of capability that you guys have, because it does go from very melodic on certain songs, and like you said, with Somehow, it was kind of the bridge. It was like, hey guys, remember, this is still us. We're still the same band, right? But let us show you a little bit more of where we're going, right? And it's kind of cool that you didn't open with that song, because it kind of allowed for you guys to tell the story. I don't know. It was awesome.
Well, I think that's super important too, because I think we're in like single culture now, where like that's the way that this generation consumes music is through singles. And I think there's something to be said for listening to albums the way that they came out. Like the artist put thought. I think a lot of people maybe don't think about that as like the artist put thought into. There's a reason that's track 6 and the next one's track 7. That wasn't just like, here's all the songs and like you can listen to them in whatever order you want. I mean, you can, but at least for me, like when the first time I'm hearing a band, I want to listen to one song, and if that song grabs my attention, great. And then I'm going to the album and I'm listening song 1, song 2, and I'm listening
front
through
to back
in that order. Because to me, it's a better representation. It's the flow of what they're getting, and you might not like it, and at least that way you're getting an accurate. This is what they wanted me to hear, and it's not for me. But I think that's a better view maybe than just grabbing song 8 and being like, no, I don't like this band. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree completely, because there have been quite a few times where I've had that experience, because I am a front to back listener. I am not a digital person. Like I have my Apple Music subscription, but it's like I much prefer a physical CD. Like every time I go to a show, I typically I'm like, hey, I've got a wife and kids, so I can't spend a crap ton on merch, but I will buy an album every single time. I'm like, I'll buy your album.
That's awesome.
And so I have a bunch of physical CDs, and I'm like, and it's just, there's something to me that you're right there, that experience of listening through. And honestly, there's two things that stand out to me every time I think about that experience. One is the first time I ever experienced why front to back is the best way to go. And it was May the Everglow, which is right. Like not the typical, based on the music I listen to, the Everglow by May is not the most commonly thought of album that is one of my absolute favorites of all time.
Sure.
But that thing was built to be a story and built to take you on this amazing journey. And I learned, I was like, there's so much thought that goes into this. And then I learned the same thing with Before Everything and After by MXPX. And I was like, hey, this one takes you on a journey too. And it's like, I was just blown away. I was floored. And then the last thing that stands out, like the other thing that stands out is I loved those hidden tracks where it was like, you're listening front to back. And you're like, this album is incredible. And then you're like, wait, it's still going. So you fast forward until you can find that hidden track that's a gem, usually just like an incredible song, blows your mind. So that's kind of like, I am on board with you though, man. Like that there's something magical about that journey that because it is art, right? I think everything is art, right? The album cover is telling a story, the order of the songs is telling a story, and then the songs individually are telling their own story. But there's kind of like that overarching message.
They're chapters, right? So they've got to feel cohesive and in the same world. Otherwise it takes you out of it. You know what I mean? And that's what I think is so interesting. And one of the benefits of having like singles is artists can completely rebrand themselves from one song to the next. Now, like there's so much like versatility there, which as an artist is super cool, but it also creates like this weird, because I'm a digital listener just because it's convenient
for sure. Yeah,
totally. But I think it's one of those things too, like you kind of lose a sense as a listener of ownership over the music when you feel like you aren't, like there's not a physical thing. Like there's something very powerful about saying, no pads, no helmets, just balls by Simple Plan. The first album I ever bought with my money, that, my birthday money or whatever. And my mom took me to Target because I was begging her that this is what I want. And I got that and a Good Charlotte CD, Young and Hopeless.
I mean, incredible. Those two albums are like
good,
my
right?
teenage years, man.
and I will never tell you the first song that I bought on my iPod because I don't remember, because it's not, there was nothing tangible there. I didn't feel a sense of ownership. I didn't feel a sense of, I spent my money on this thing. This is a band that I am invested in and I own a part of. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you just check a band out on Spotify, it's like you're not tied to that band in any way. You're just, you're witnessing someone else's world. And so I think it creates a unique, problem for artists to solve in a digital age. How do you make people who don't feel like kind of part of your thing feel like they're welcome and give them something interesting to hold on to? I think that's an interesting, problem that artists today face.
Oh, I agree completely. And I'm like, everything you just said, I agree with, because like, I also remember when you'd open up that insert and you'd read the lyrics alongside.
And there's additional pictures in there that just build the world, build the vibe. Totally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like, I mean, Simple Plan's a great example where they did like so many photo shoots for each of their albums.
Oh my gosh.
And
great.
You go in there and you look and you're like, their naked Beach Boys one is hilarious. And I don't know if you remember any of the pictures, but like they had the surfboard in front of them and they're all standing as like Beach Boys. And it's just like, they had like 10 or 15 pictures like that. And I was just like, this is why I love physical albums. There's just, you get this experience that you just can't get elsewhere. And I think that's why
it out and you put it on your wall or whatever, along with, however many other pictures that you just thought were cool. There's a sense of ownership that happens there. So it's like, how can we get that? How can we create that now? And, I think there's a lot of artists that are doing it well. But how do you make it more than just music?
Yeah. I think Apple Music is doing a little bit with, obviously they've got like Spotify does it now as well, where the lyrics can go along with the song, almost like karaoke style. Yeah. And then, they've started doing live album art, which is really cool, where like it's an interactive album art. So you kind of like, when you pull open the album, it's more than just a static image,
right?
Things like that, but it's still just not quite there for me.
Sure.
But it is how I listen, like you said, right? It's like, I mean, I'm not going to take a friggin' Discman to the gym.
Right, exactly.
I'm not going to do it.
Right, exactly. Right.
But yeah, dude, I mean, what are you guys doing to kind of bridge that?
Yeah. So I think for one, just being super active on social media and like engaging with people. So we run all of our own social media. I mean, obviously like we have a lot of help from management in a lot of aspects, but that element is to us like a very direct opportunity for us to communicate with fans and everything like that. So we run all that stuff ourselves. So if there's a comment, if there's a message or anything, like that's, one of us, one of the five of us. And then I think too, it's with merchandise, and I think the live show now is a really huge opportunity for that. It's like I don't know, I think you can get creative and playful and like do things with the live show that I think hasn't really been happening, like without being too theatrical. I just think there's ways that you can tie your album and your live show together that isn't just like, I'm seeing five guys standing on stage playing music that sounds just like the record. Like that's not super compelling. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I think it's about like creating a live experience that feels, familiar when you're listening, to the record, but then there's got to be something unique to that live experience that you can't get from listening to the album. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I think it's like offering little experiences and like little moments like that in the set that are really powerful for people.
Who are some of like the bands that you consider do it, like who do that well, that have kind of like inspired you guys?
That's a good question. So I think, not to go back to them all the time, but I think MyChem did a really good job of it. I think here's a perfect one of a modern band. I think Ice Nine Kills crushes that.
Oh my gosh, they're incredible at doing that. Not my type of music, but holy crap.
Right. Like that's one of the things that got me into them was, so I knew like The Greatest Story Ever Told and all that from, back in the day, like the original version with, I forget what the name of the album is, but with the Red Skull thing, the old one before Safe Is Just a Shadow. And then I listened to Safe Is Just a Shadow, and then I kind of like forgot about Ice Nine Kills, and I was like, okay, whatever. But I've always been a big horror movie fan, and Andrew was telling me about, Ice Nine Kills and Silver Scream had just come out, and they're doing this horror thing, and I was like, okay, that's kind of cool. I'll check it out. At first, the music, I was like, it's pretty good, but it was feeling like there was something bigger. There was the music videos that all connected. There was a story there. Like there was a thing that kept you in it. And the more I got into that, the more I started really listening to the songs. And I was like, man, these are great songs. And then Silver Scream 2 came out, and they crushed that, right? And then with the live set, all the set changes and all the costume changes, and it just feels like there's this larger than life thing, or the Black Parade is Dead, coming out on the gurney, and like all that stuff is just super cool. Or there's this guy Screaming Jay Hawkins. He did, I Put a Spell on You back in the day.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
He comes out on like a talk show in like a coffin. It's just like all these little things with like a voodoo staff and stuff. It's just like, it's just over the top. But as soon as you looked at him, you're like, please sound the way you're about to sound. Like, I hope that's how you sound. And sure enough, he comes out and he crushes it. And you're like, this is exactly the world I wanted to live in for the next 3 minutes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, it's awesome.
That's so cool. Yeah, dude. I mean, there's something really compelling about those bands that kind of take you on those journeys.
That's right.
And that is a very unique experience. And that's really cool. Like, I would love to see a live show of your guys, just to like kind of see what you guys are doing. And obviously, like, the cool thing is, every one of these bands were doing the same thing even when they had low budget. So they figured out a way to still incorporate it. And then obviously as it gets bigger and bigger, you get My Chemical Romance, who ends up just like the top of a skyscraper playing this incredible Black Parade. Like, what the freak is happening? And you're just like, such a cool experience. You're like, dang. I mean, the fact is they would have done something dope either way, but the more money, they just make the experience better for their fans, which I'm a big fan of that, where they kind of reinvest in making the experience better for their fans. Totally. And that's so cool.
100%. I think that's, you're spot on. That's, I think, exactly what it's about. It's like, the idea is a good idea regardless of the scale. You know what I mean? Like, if a band, I don't think a band needs all the things we're talking about to be successful. I don't think you need that stuff.
No,
I think it's cool. I think it can help. But if you see, a group on stage just crushing it, I think there's just there's a difference between seeing 4 or 5 people who are just up there playing music and having a great time. And there's a difference between 4 or 5 people who are up there telling a story to you for the next 30 minutes and like bringing you into some sort of world. I think that's so much more captivating, and it's fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I saw Coheed and Cambria for the first time
perfect
live.
Example.
Yeah. Last summer. And I was just like, what the? And then like my best friend, one of my best friends, he's telling me, he's like, oh yeah, dude, they've got comics, they've got this and that. I was like, they've got an entire world, almost like freaking Lord of the Rings. They've got this entire world that they've created with all this stuff, and all the songs tie into it. And I was just blown away. I had no idea.
Totally stands. Like, if you don't want to consume any of that stuff, you don't have to. Like, the music is good enough on its own to just for Coheed and Cambria to just be a band. It's good enough.
Yeah.
But
so good.
If you want more as a fan, that's there for you. And I think having that option is super rewarding for
absolutely.
fans.